Hey everybody, welcome back to Ace It. We're going to start building our disc golf backhand. In this series, we're going to learn to use ground forces and gravity to drive the throw. So, as you've probably heard, you want to either sling or whip the disc out toward the target. And in order to do that, we have to build an efficient system. So we're going to identify certain key movements, isolate those movements, and put them into a sequence that I hope you find very intuitive to build that disc golf backhand. Now, each one of these movements should build on the other. So I do recommend that you proceed through the movements in the order that they are presented. But, as we learn, maybe you find that by move 4, you're understanding move 1 a little bit differently, and you'll hop around a little bit. So what we'll do when we go to the field is we'll see each of these moves in sequence. We'll see a couple different minor variants that help the idea sink in, get a feel in the body. And throughout the series, what I'll be doing is try to pull out some highlights from my own form development. And so, for instance, the throw in the beginning of the sequence here was one with pretty good dynamism, good use of gravity and ground forces, a few other details that aren't so hot. And so we'll come back around to those at the relevant points in the series to smooth those out along the way. Sometimes when we're looking at pro form, you're often checking out a video of a max distance drive, and that's somebody that's been doing this for 20 years and can throw 600 feet. So I'm assuming you're coming here without that sort of form work. And what we want to do is find templates that we can attach onto, make some sense out of, teach our bodies to gain that control and do it the right way. And as we build those sequences of movements, the form will start to get more sophisticated, start to smooth out. And, we really want you to achieve the basis of what we can call a freewheeling form, right? A kind of raw but fundamentally effective way of moving. So with that, let's get out to the field and get started. All right, here we go. You can put that disc down, keep it in your throwing hand. Either way, what I want you to do is get into a loose athletic posture and, just kind of move your body around. So I want you to move side by side. I want you to get light on your feet, move heel toe, kind of wave your upper body back and forth. Just kind of feel how your body moves with gravity and rocks around. I want you to take that arm, make it nice and loose, and start windmilling it around in a circle over your head in this vertical plane. And we want to even out both sides, so move around to your opposite side, your non-dominant arm. And the key here, and we'll return to it over and over, is the weight is going to drive the throw. So allow yourself to squat down and let that drive that windmill through your arm, right? Squat. You should feel a moment where dropping with gravity is going to move that arm faster down through a pendulum. So when we compress, we're going to help transfer force through the throw by resisting the earth, and we can transfer it up through decompression. Planting is dropping our weight toe heel. Crush the can with your weight. Crush that can with your weight. Fall into the heel. You should feel as though you're falling as though seating in a chair. And the weight shift is going to be a simple side-to-side motion. Get all of your weight moving laterally. Move back and forth. Just toe heel. Keep your body between your feet. Nice and easy. Back and forth. Don't worry too much about going forward and lateral. Right? We're going to find a natural, easy athletic posture. Your feet might end up a little offset in your throw to begin. That will change depending on how far you're throwing in your anatomy. But nice and easy. Don't overdo it. Now, it's very important that you keep your ankles outside your knees, outside your hips throughout the throw, whether it's a standstill or the final step of the X step. That leverage is driven from the stiffness of your leg and its extension, as we'll see in a moment here. But your weight is centered between these feet like an A-frame. Stay in this posture. If you move outside, you can see immediately you start to tip over. We don't want that. We want to get leveraged inside the legs so that when we plant, we can use it as a fulcrum that we use to leverage around the throw. Next, we want to get used to the idea of balancing and counterbalancing here with the leg, right? So we're going to do what are called skaters. We want to move the same motion, but this time allow the leg without your weight on it to kick behind you. Stay balanced, right? And so we want to be able to move dynamically back and forth, get used to different levels of counterbalance, near or far away from your body. Here from the side. Right? Just allow it to creep back, just like this, staying nice and balanced. And get used to sinking the upper body through a counter rotation. So swing back and forth, nice and easy. And you can try this over different levels of effort and range. Target's over there. So we want to drive to the target. Pick up your plant foot. Gravity will start you moving from that stiff rear leg and extend that drive leg, calf, quad, and glutes to help move your body forward. Try it over different sizes of weight shifts. So again, you need to feel as though as soon as you pick that front leg up, you'll tip forward. As you know, you only have to go a few inches. You'll feel it. Gravity's pulling my body over to the side just because I'm keeping that rear leg leveraged. Just enough stiffness to allow that to happen. And then when I extend that leg, you can see how easy it is for me to move. I can add the skate into that as I move to the target. This is the weight shift. Picking up the foot, allowing gravity to do the work, and the drive leg to assist it. Nice and easy. How does rotation occur? Well, it starts with the drive leg, and it's assisted by rotating with your butt leading. So you crush the can, let the weight drop into that heel, leading with the butt. The hip is internally rotating, that drive leg. So as it's pushing forward, I've already been cocking the hips just because I moved my butt. Right? And that doesn't matter. I can move over different lengths of stride for more power in the throw. I can add a bit of squat. And now you can really start to see that rotation starting to happen. All I'm doing is squatting and allowing that rear leg to drive. The hips are just coming along for the ride. I don't have to force it. And the harder I drive, the easier it gets to see that rotation. Drive forward, and eventually if I drive far enough and squat enough, I will rotate through. And so you can try it now. We'll work more on the arms later, but just kind of let your arm whip through. Get used to the feel of this motion. Right? Drive leg, squat through. You'll see my plant leg then extend in the follow through. Extend up. Right? You can push harder and get a feel for the balance as you put more drive through that leg. We want to go high, low, high. Again, gravity. Use your weight. Start high, drop in, extend up in the follow through. Here I'm exaggerating taking that weight forward, but high, low, high is the trick. We can do that from the standstill. A nice, easy motion. That's the overall basis for a standstill throw. We'll worry a bit about the upper body later. But you can see here how much my hips are loading just from these simple principles, how much gravity is helping drive this throw. The X step is this motion. From that position, we're allowing the butt to lead. We're extending with that drive leg into the squat, crushing the can. And just by adding more energy to the system, being in a good posture, we'll achieve what we want. So here now progressing through the X step to target. Notice my first step is pointed toward the camera, perpendicular to target. I'm finding a cross step position with decent leverage and allowing my weight, butt first, to carry me through into the plant. Don't need much effort, right? Get used to swinging through like this. Easy follow through. Same mechanics. We don't want to be too rigid and upright. Nope. You can tell how much power is not in this throw. Very rigid, not very fluid, not loading the muscles correctly. Don't want to load too low in the squat. We don't want to shuffle around here, very tense. This is low for me, my body type. Lots of effort there I don't need. I'm not using gravity and athleticism. Nice and loose. Let gravity pull me a little bit down. Nice dynamic flow. Almost no effort. Now, unfortunately, there is a lot of advice, often well-intended out there, that is a misconception of the fundamentals of form. And by that, I mean there's something that mechanically is going on that is either inefficient or bears a risk of injury, and often both, if you put a lot of effort through the motion. So I want to give you a few of the most commonly instructed or observed phenomena that you see when people are trying to teach and use leg action and hip action in the throw. This is called squishing the bug. The idea is that you've got your weight split on your drive leg and your plant leg, and you're rotating that rear leg internally. You can see here I'm on the ball of the foot with the knee dropping. The knee drop is a consequence of a good weight shift off the drive leg, a triple extension, calf, quads, and glutes. So it should look more like this. You're just pushing off. You can see how easily the hip rotation occurs as that's happening. The weight transfer is fluid, much safer for the body and knees. You get that skate and counterbalance easily, and if you add the butt wipe, you can see that you further exaggerate the rotation as we discussed earlier, just from extending from that drive leg. And that will move you toward the target by loading and unloading the hips. We are also not using the core to drive hip rotation. So we're not picking up the plant leg into the stride with any hesitancy and then using the core to force the rotation in the latter half here. Very mechanically inefficient, and I think you can see it from this illustration compared to the previous, where there's this big gap in reach between what my drive leg is doing and how my plant receives my weight. They're already open by the time I'm planting. So very athletic people can force this motion, but it's not efficient. And yes, we want to engage the hips. Indeed, that's the whole reason we have the module series today, but we don't want to jerk them, right? It shouldn't be that you're isolating the hips and then twisting them forcefully using only those muscles, right? The hips are loading and unloading because of the leg action smoothly below them. And I hope it's obvious, but please don't twist through the knees. Knees are for extending, not twisting. So we also don't want to be jerking low and through the knees like this. Very bad, can lead to some very bad injuries, especially with body weight atop them. Make sure that you get that plant knee outside the hip and the ankle outside the knee, right? You don't want to get kind of jammed up here. You don't want your weight dropping right down. That's going to put a lot of torque through the meniscus and ligaments. Don't plant too close to target. Don't have that toe pointed away. And in the same way, and a very common beginner mistake, don't point that toe away from the target. You want to stay leveraged. You want to be able to extend off it laterally toward the target. Do you follow through on the heel or the ball of the foot? It should be the heel, and that's a consequence of good form. Often when you see pros follow through on the ball of the foot, what you're seeing is they've planted here, weight in the heel. They will rotate through the hip, and then they're carrying some momentum forward and roll over the ball of the foot, but the rotation's the heel. So watching here in a practice swing, you can see me rotate on the heel, absorbing that force behind the brace. And then when I take an actual throw, still on the heel, I roll through on the ball of the foot, carry a little momentum forward safely.